I am Allison O'Toole reporting in from Second Harvest Heartland headquarters in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. And we are here on the front lines with our partners during the fourth week of the COVID-19 crisis and outbreak. I always start by saying I'm the proud CEO of Second Harvest Heartland because this team is just in the highest gear we have, and I know Cathy and Margaret's teams are as well, and so many teams across the state are working so hard. But again, very happy to be joined again by Cathy Maes, the Executive Director of Loaves and Fishes Minnesota. She's rocking it. And Margaret Palan from United Community Action Partnership in Marshall, Minnesota. And I know she's got so much to report from southwestern Minnesota this morning too. I'll start with a quick update from our end and then pass it off to Margaret. It is the same theme as it was last week. Hunger is growing in our community. The food shelves that we serve tell us the demand they're seeing is double and sometimes triple what it was just a short month ago. And today I'd like to describe how we are adapting our response efforts to help the heroes at local food shelves prevent a food shortage crisis. Last week I spoke with you about our emergency food boxes and meals, and today I want to spotlight where they're all going. Last week we delivered nearly 11,000 emergency food boxes to food shelves, offering our partners a quick infusion of food that minimizes face-to-face contact and offers more meals per visit. That is the twin innovation that will keep folks safe. Little to no contact and extra meals that make it possible to stay home. In total, we've delivered nearly 24,000 emergency food boxes since the outbreak began, and there are so many more on the way. Sourcing and distributing food has become more complex than ever, and I'm guessing you'll hear reports of that from Cathy and Margaret as well. At Second Harvest Heartland, like everyone else in the hunger relief community, we are working around the clock to get nutritious food and get it to the folks who need it most. And both sides of that equation have changed significantly in the last few weeks. Food is more expensive by the day, and there are long delays in getting staples delivered from suppliers. Food shelves, who have seen a big drop in volunteer capacity, are having a difficult time picking up donations that would generally be theirs to capture. So our teams are stepping up and tackling more deliveries than ever before. Our warehouse, I was just back in our warehouse this morning. It is buzzing with activity, of course, but it is filled with tons, literally tons of extra produce right now. This food is in high demand and it's difficult to get out there right now. I know our food shelf partners are smartly focused on shelf-stable food, and we're working on drive-through produce distributions to help infuse that hunger relief network with a little more produce right now. In fact, we've just launched a partnership with Lower Sioux Reservation down in Redwood County, where we're sending an entire truckload's worth of produce their way this Wednesday. It'll be a traveling farmer's market with, of course, proper social distancing. And we've invested in more deliveries and drivers to meet this increased need right now. Through the month of March, we made more than 2,200 deliveries to almost 600 partners. And early reports from April show that this number is going way up. We employ 33 drivers, and since they became frontline emergency response workers overnight, I am so proud to report that we have these hardworking team members. We have given them a raise. And talking with this team, and I just was back in the warehouse this morning checking in, this team who understands very well the risks they're taking on, but making deliveries anyway, is a needed reminder of the strength a reminder of our strength as a community and the spirit of service that will ensure we all prevail. So I would love to invite Margaret Palan again, who is with us from Marshall, Minnesota. who's a critical partner in this work, to tell us how things are going and changing on the ground in Marshall, Minnesota. Margaret?
All right, thank you for having us on. Yes, we're down here in Southwest Minnesota, United Community Action Partnership. We cover actually 9 counties down here, and we have 4 food shelves in Marshall, Tracy, here in Lake Okabena, and over in Westbrook. So we are keeping our 4 food shelves open because of our wonderful volunteers. And Lori Laro, my coworker, and I are just working with Second Harvest. And please know we feel your support down here, big time, big time. So with that, we're just changing a few things. United Community Action Partnership actually has like 20 different services. And so we are continuing those services through phone calls. The office is locked, but people can still call us. So in the food way, things are growing, things are changing. This last month, we've seen 190 new people that have not visited us in a long time. We're seeing families that we haven't seen in 5 and 8 and actually 10 years the other day. But we're just so glad that they still know that we are here for them. We're not going anywhere. Our doors are open, except we are doing outside service. So that's a little bit different for us. But because of our wonderful volunteers, we are still doing what we can to give client choice. We so just really, really want to be able to do that to a point. So it's outside service. We're not doing the box just yet, but we're excited to get the TFAB boxes that you will be sending. They'll start to come this week. But what we're doing is we have a list of different items, and we're asking the clients, what their needs are, what they can use. And if we give them stuff they can't use, that they would share it with their neighbors, and friends. So that's working really well. But it's our volunteers, again, that are keeping, we have the same core group, so everybody knows where everybody's been. And we keep our distance. They have their gloves, but they actually are doing the shopping at this time for our clients. Our clients are very, very thankful. A lot of tears, a lot of appreciation. A lot of community people bringing donations. The other day, a guy brought 16 pounds and a $50 bill and walked away crying, just saying he wished he could do more, but he just doesn't realize how much that meant to us. So donations are being dropped off. We are still continuing our rescue food, actually more and more rescue food, because restaurants have closed. So same volunteers go out and collect this with all the safety gear, of course, but things are changing, but we are still here. We are emailing partners, flyers, communications, just all that type of stuff, so that we're totally in contact with those. The community, I think, just lifting each other up, going to check on a few neighbors, making sure not everybody has family down here. And so just checking on the neighbors and the friends. We're telling our clients, if we give them something they can't use, please bless someone else with it. Please share it. So that's been just really a good way that they can help too. But I think by just checking on people. Of course, monetary donations are always good, so that we can buy from Second Harvest in bulk. And what you have, we just ordered for all 4 of them. And what you have on the list, we are so thankful. And all the free TFAB that we're able to offer is just above and beyond. Like I said, we just feel your support, and we don't feel alone down here in our cornfields. So it's just been a lot. But yep, we're seeing people we haven't seen for a while, but we just feel really grateful that they know we are here for them too. Yeah.
Thanks, Margaret. What you don't know, Allison, is Margaret and I have known each other for quite a long time.
Yeah.
We together opened up a site down in Marshall that serves dinners 4 nights a week now. So we are in partnership with you, and so good to see you, Margaret. Cathy Maes with Loaves and Fishes, Minnesota, and thank you for having us, Second Harvest. We are the meal program. We call ourselves the largest free restaurant in Minnesota, and here's why. Last year at this time, we were averaging about 24,000 meals a week. Last Last week, it was almost 100,000 meals, 4 times the work. And actually, we had to rent another truck because of our rescue efforts. And those pounds that we normally would rescue last year at this time were about 62,000. It's up 11 times at 712,000 pounds, almost 713,000 pounds. I think some of the challenges, well, figuring out how to rescue all that food, but keeping our staff really safe, and they now are wearing masks, which we were able to get some in. And we've opened up 6 new locations. In fact, yesterday afternoon, we opened a site in St. Paul, and we thought they would serve about 100 meals, and they came back and they served over 200 meals, so they had to get more food. We talk a lot about our guests, and there was a gentleman who emailed from St. Paul, and he had had a heart transplant and was afraid to go to the grocery store. And he said that he is so thankful for our program because he can safely distance, find the time when there aren't a lot of people, and go in and get a couple of meals. And he said it's really keeping him alive. So things that come unexpectedly our way. How can you help? I know that Margaret has a ton of volunteers. We do too. We have really made sure that the volunteers are safe, that they're distant in the kitchens, and that they're gloved and masked, and using all the serve safe policies that we've done forever. I feel really honored to serve with Allison. We laugh a lot because you have to in this environment, and we're thankful that the media is paying attention, and we're really, really grateful for all that you have shed on our work and the people that we serve. So with that, I would open it up for questions, comments, concerns, all of the above.
All right, thanks, Cathy. First question is coming from Joanna in St. Paul. She's noting that we're coming up on Easter and Passover holidays. What can regular Minnesotans without a lot of means do to ensure people don't go without for these important holidays?
Yeah, and maybe I'll start. I think it's just a reiteration of what both Margaret and Cathy have said. I think everyone is working in overdrive to make sure every day, especially around holidays where families, there's a little more focus on a meal, how they can help. And I know most, Margaret, you mentioned how folks can help. You've got those loyal volunteers that are awesome to hear. We have those too. And boy, they make my day every time I see a group come in here. But financial donations for everyone is very important. I just want to make that super clear to whoever is tuning in with us today. That is the quickest way that you can have an impact. And I know we are putting both Loaves and Fishes and Margaret's organization on in the comments, etc. if you want to make a donation directly. It is really critical that we have the financial resources to meet this demand. And all of this work is over and above our normal operating budgets. And so I know that partners across the state, including Margaret and Cathy and Second Harvest, certainly appreciate that.
Great, thanks, Allison. We've got a question from Jenna with Care 11. She's curious where the increase in rescued food is coming from. Why this uptick in food rescue?
Well, Cathy, do you want to start and then I can fill in a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of the rescue food that we're seeing is coming from schools that have closed, restaurants that have closed, people that would normally supply restaurants, and the schools are sitting on food that needs to go someplace. So that's really where it's coming from.
Yeah, and I think when I talked about our Second Harvest Heartland is plugging in various locations to help rescue the food, it is because just our collective volunteer workforce is stressed right now. And sometimes those volunteers are so critical in picking up that food, especially in greater Minnesota. And so trying to make sure that system is stable, but Cathy is, I think you've seen the direct impact of those increased donations. It's very welcome.
Perfect. And that relates to my next question that's coming in from Caitlin Link. Are each of you accepting new volunteers? Follow-up question, if someone can't or is hesitant to leave their home, how can they help from home?
Well, Margaret, do you want to take that first?
Sure, sure. And we have had requests of volunteers and youth groups that, want to come in, and stuff. So we're trying to give them some ideas. We're going to send out a bunch of our hygiene items that we've been collecting through the years, the soaps, the shampoos. And if the youth groups want to, at their distance, at their church, put those in little bags for some of our homeless and do some of that. They can do it off-site. Again, our office is closed, so we're not bringing in the new into the building, but there's things outside, or if they can go pick up something with that. Also earlier, I forgot to mention something new that we're doing. We have a great transportation, community transit here in Marshall, and they're not as busy giving the rides around, So what they're doing is we're doing food deliveries. Our clients can call in and we can take their orders over the phone. So if someone wanted to do that, we would put them in a room and they can we have a list. Lori has had this list. It just works really great. And we put the food on the bus, and then the bus driver takes it and puts it on their doorstep. And so that has really increased. So if a volunteer, wanted to help get the food so the driver's not doing it all, would be just amazing, with that too. It's tough, just bringing in a whole bunch and keeping our other volunteers safe. So we, just keep track of all their contact. But there's other things out there besides, again, going to your neighbors, and such too. So the rescue food that you had just mentioned, I just want to add, and we got a pallet of rice yesterday from a company, a construction, a company, our wholesalers. I think when this is all behind us, we're going to have a lot new rescue partners. It's been amazing in Marshall. Yeah.
There are some high points in this, and we have to remember those.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Cathy, how about you?
Yeah, we're accepting volunteers as well. A lot of our teams are, of the mature age that this is. So we stick in cooks and line chefs and caterers who are coming in and helping us cook meals. We can sign up online at loavesandfishesmn.org, and there are lots of opportunities. Just like Margaret, we'd be happy to have, we actually bundle socks, Margaret, and we put shampoos in them and soap and listed where all our dining sets are. So we can be locked and loaded to do an offsite as well.
Great. Thanks so much, everybody. Cathy Smith, the Star Tribune, also has a volunteer question. She's wondering where we're seeing a drop in the number of volunteers and how are food shelves adapting to fill the need. Margaret, you want to say a little more there since you're the food shelf on the call, just to kick us off?
Yes, I'd be happy to. We do have a lot of volunteers that have chosen to stay down home, and a lot of their kids, I think they'd like to come, but their kids are like, no, you need to stay home. And we totally respect that. We just want people to be healthy and stay home. And Lori and I have actually just talked, separately with a lot of them instead of in a group. So they're all like, if they say, okay, I'll keep coming, well, then I should too. We talk separately to them. We really want them to be honest with us if they're not comfortable coming. And so we've been able to, the other ones have just stepped it up. Unbelievable. They've committed to 3 days a week to be here. We're thinking of a name for this new little group of our volunteers. They're trying to make it, fun with that. But the older ones, like you said, and Lori and I are almost the youngest ones here too, but we just respect, and they have dropped, yes. And the other ones have picked up the load, but we just want them safe, especially when their kids say, please, we need to respect that.
So Margaret, our teams, volunteer teams would come in a dozen to 14 to come in and make a meal for the hundreds that they're going to serve. Because of Child Girl Catering and the Optum Partner Kitchen, we have been able to pare down our volunteers to 4 or 5 a night, because we're really now a heat and serve, and it's amazing food, but it's offered us the ability to safely get the food out the door, and our guests really like it. And to answer the question about the holidays coming up, if somebody's hungry, we are now packing family packs. So it looks like, you know, it looks like turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes, and you just have to heat it up, and you'll have a wonderful meal.
Wow, that's really good to know, Cathy. And everybody, I mean, our phones ring. Is Esther's going to stay open? Is that, you know, Loaves and Fish is going to stay open? And thank you for staying open, because we know how many just count on that. So if there's anything on flyers or anything that you're sticking in socks or whatever, we'd be happy to, you know, we have your regular flyers as always, you know, but we just hear all the time too that you're staying open, because we know how many rely on that here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Allison, anything you want to add about the ebb and flow of our volunteer workforce?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think it's versions of what Cathy and Margaret have said too. We've got loyal volunteers here who are still coming in wanting to feel like they want to pitch in, and we've changed our process. So we are asking safety questions as groups come in. They are socially distant when they're checking in, when they're doing their service and packing those boxes that are going across the state. And we're doing temperature checks. So we are really doubling down to make sure that our volunteer workforce is safe and healthy when they come in. Everyone has been awesome in terms of answering all those questions and doing those extra steps. So, you know, when you think about it, when you have to be 6 feet apart, you can host fewer at a time. And so we're trying to, you know, we're getting our bearings there, but have, like Margaret, reach to our loyal volunteers to come in this first wave, and we'll keep the community updated with needs as we continue to learn.
Great.
So I think just like all of us, we're so thankful. This community has surrounded all of us in so many ways, whether it be financial donations or those loyal volunteers that make our operations work and sing even in times of crisis. And I am trying to make a list and cling to those high points because they get me through the day. And I know they get the others through the day too.
You know, we actually, thinking about it, our volunteer coordinator has started, Margaret, what's called a reserve team. And so they are on-call volunteers that they can sign up now online. And when we need somebody ASAP, that's the team that we go to and see if they can, you know, squeal away from whatever they're doing to help us out in last minute. So we're just calling it our reserve team.
Oh, I like that, so that they really still feel that they're may get in, you know, to help, because everybody wants to do something, especially a lot of our businesses, Schwann's. I mean, there's a lot of them that are, you know, that have closed, you know, sometimes through this time. And what's really just heartwarming is that some of these places that have had to close or whatever, they're calling us with some very, very generous donations, and they just want to give back, even though their employees are going through hard times too. Mm-hmm. Very nice.
That's wonderful. We have one last question from Elias in Shakopee. He says, I have volunteered for food shelves over the years, and some of them are very, very small. What will happen if they cannot operate in a few weeks' time?
Yeah, and maybe I'll start with that one, Elizabeth.
Sure.
So we are, I think everyone is working so hard to adjust. And I know, Margaret, you talked about the nimbleness of the teams across this hunger relief network is so impressive. And I think we think of it in phases. You know, we're in this first phase and trying to infuse the hunger relief network with more food, more shelf-stable food, more produce that's packed differently, that's easier to distribute, because those channels of distribution and the methods of distribution have changed. We have, you know, as a community, as a hunger relief network, stay connected every week about this, and I think we will all work together to make sure there are not gaps in the system. There may be some that can't operate because their volunteer workforce goes away. We will all work together to try and fill those gaps. And I don't know if Margaret or Cathy, you want to chime in on that, but I think of it in phases. One, right now we're trying to get more food out. Second, we get more sophisticated every day about learning the pressures on other organizations and try to address those together.
Yeah. We'll pull staff if we need to with that. So we will remain open if the volunteers, if that goes to our director, Debbie Brandt has already said, we will pull staff, you know, because a lot of them are, you know, we're closed working from home. So we will get through this with that part, and just letting our volunteers know that, because we know this is going to be going on for a little while. And, you know, as much as we, you know, food is up front of their worries or whatever right now, just being there for support and letting them know we're gonna be there and lift them up what we can and stuff is all just part of the package too.
You know, I just want to, you know, say thank you to our staff who's doing an amazing job here at Loaves and Fishes. I have never seen anything like it, and I'm really, really proud of them. We know that a lot of our guests that come are shut in, and I worry dearly about them right now. They don't have us to come to, and I worry about mental health and stability of our folks. Yes, we are the food, and we will be there for the food, but like Margaret said, check in on people. You know, just even I brought food to my parents yesterday, and just seeing their faces was really important. I put the food on the steps and then backed away. But, and again, I appreciate Second Harvest and all of our partners. We couldn't do this without them.
Likewise.